The countdown has started, right? A very pleasant good day to all of our viewers. We welcome you again to another marriage encounter. We are delighted, as usual, to be with you on the airways of Second Advent Radio. And for those of you who are joining us via our YouTube channels and other social media streaming platforms, we are delighted that you have taken the time to be with us. We are on Marriage Encounter, which means we are talking about issues relating to marriage. And if you are married, you know that marriage can be a wonderful experience. If you're planning to get married, you must have heard something good about marriage. If perchance you're married and it's not going well, we invite you not to give up, but to stay tuned because Pastor Adams and myself, Dr. Greene, will be presenting some information that we trust will help to lift your relationship to a place from distress to bliss. Welcome, Pastor Adams.
Morning, good day again. Happy to be here, Dr. Greene, and we are also happy to invite again our viewing listening audience and ask them to, as we usually do, tell somebody that we're on Marriage Encounter for our next installment, and we are ready to pick up from where we left off.
Most certainly, most certainly. Well, we want to have a word of prayer, so we invite you to bow your heads with us if you're able to at this time. Eternal Father and our God, we thank you for the opportunity, the privilege of sharing today on Marriage Encounter. We ask for your wisdom, your grace, your guidance. We pray that you will give us the right words to say, the thoughts to express that will help to strengthen some marriage, that will help to provide light for those who are in darkness and inspiration for those who may need it today. Grant us again your peace and your presence in Jesus' name. Amen. But Pastor Adams, we have been talking about issues relating to boundaries and the need for individuals to be more open towards accepting boundaries. We don't want to see boundaries as a restriction, but we want to suggest that boundaries are a necessary thing to help couples to live in peace and harmony and to strengthen one another along the path.
Yes, yes.
Yes, certainly. Now, we are going to move into an area this morning. Last week, we were sharing on the importance of validating your spouse as you consider the whole aspect of trying to get your spouse to appreciate why you want to emphasize or ask them to maintain their boundaries. We spent quite a lot of time on that one. I want to move into another area, Pastor, and that is love your spouse. Now we're talking about boundaries, right? And I'm choosing today to start the discussion by reading from Cloud and Townsend, because I think there is a beautiful quotation in that book that will provide perspective. So let me read a section. It says, in boundary conflict resolution, in boundary conflict resolution, you need to communicate to that your goal is to be close to your spouse, not to hurt your spouse, right? Boundaries are about protecting love. And I have this highlighted. Boundaries are about protecting love. They're not about changing people, beating them down, pushing them, or showing them their evil ways. Setting boundaries will enhance or repair the loving feelings you have for each other. And you need to convey this to your spouse. I want for us to sort of go into this statement. Boundaries are about protecting love. Even before that, your goal in boundary conflict resolution is to communicate that you wish to be close to your spouse and not to hurt your spouse. So you are saying to your spouse, listen, I am not asking you to maintain the boundaries because I don't want to be close to you, but because I want to be close to you. Hey, listen, I cannot relate well when my house is upside down with untidiness or uncleanliness. I need to have a clean space so that I can relate well. And I'm asking you to help me with this so that we can, not have obstacles in our path. That's just an example. You may want to comment on that.
Yes, and that's so crucial. And that is why, even before I go there, we talk about the love language, and it could well be that that is what the spouse is asking for. Let's say the spouse is a couch potato. They like to come and lie down in the couch, the two of you together, and talk over the day or the week or whatever. If the place is untidy, then they cannot be loved in that specific love language. Yes. So we have to, because the last time we were talking, I was talking about looking at the bigger picture, right? And that is why um, love conquer all things. I think that's what the word of God says that. And usually if spouses are genuinely heels, over heels in love with each other. Is it overhead or over heels? Whichever
Head,
term
head over
uh,
heels.
head over heels in
Yes.
love with each other, um, they will want to resolve whatever is causing the situation, whatever boundary. And that is why, from the onset, when I'm dealing with people in the premarital council room, I try to get the right reason why they're getting married. And I try to highlight to them that there are only two reasons why you get married. And I give them that assignment. Go and write down 3 to 5 reasons. That's your next assignment. After I do the intake interview, when I'm ready to present for the first topic in the curriculum, I say, bring for me that assignment. Put down 3 to 5 reasons why you're getting married to each other. And I am intentionally looking to see if love is number one on the list. What why you're getting married, you see, because there are a lot of times when we mix up the blessings of marriage or the benefits of marriage with the reasons for being married. So um, it is because the couple love each other genuinely, both parties will be willing to do whatever it is, whatever it takes, and they will approach conflict differently because, as you rightly read in that quotation, you don't want to beat the other person down or hurt them. You don't hurt, love does not hurt, love heals. And so whatever you're going to do to heal the relationship for whatever conflict is going on, if both people are in love with each other and are committed to making this relationship go, then they are going to accept boundaries and they are going to want to make the adjustment and the character change if needs be, so that the thing can go right, that the home and the marriage can be a beautiful place. That is what you want ultimately. So I believe that some couples are struggling, Dr. Greene, because maybe they might not be married for the right reason. Because if you love somebody, you don't want to cause that person pain and dis-ease. If my spouse is unhappy, I'm unhappy too. You see, how can I go to sleep and I know that my spouse is unhappy, you know, and he or she, yeah, is not operating at the full potential, not their real self, because of this issue. I don't think that that is what marriage and the family should be. It's ought to be.
And I think I want to add one thing to that, Pastor, which some persons may be struggling with right now. So I want to add this. that love is unselfish, right?
Yes.
Love is unselfish. Love, in fact, what does the Bible say? Love seeketh not her own, is
Right.
not to be provoked, etc. So
Yes.
that when I am genuinely in love with my spouse, I want to not just be concerned about my own comfort, but also about the
Yeah.
comfort of my spouse. And hence the
Yes.
illustration that I used earlier. If my spouse
Yeah.
finds it difficult to operate in an untidy environment, again, we spoke about families of origin. There's some individuals who grew up in environments that who likes structure, who believes in cleanliness. You can't just think about yourself and say, well, this is okay for me. But so my wife has to fit in. No, love is unselfish. We are caring about each other's comfort. And it is important that we add that to the discussion so that we can appreciate that we are not just looking about our own interests, but we're looking about the interests of our spouse likewise.
Mhm.
Now, the quotation
Yeah.
also said,
And we can, okay, go
go
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to make the point that it is possible that we can change because I've seen that. I've seen people who like were opposing, were opposite parties, and the one having a regard now and an appreciation for the boundary was able to make that adjustment. I see that in my own family situation. I see that in my own sister's family relations. Um, my mother was a stickler for having everything in order. My father was a military person. You know, they are always in order, everything there. If you wake up in the dead of the night, you must put your hand and find this. That's the family background I came from. And my mother, my sisters, they are like that to the letter. Even when my sister is late for work, she has a broom in her hand. I said, well, look, go out the place. you know, she has a broom in her hand. And her husband was the opposite. And I was surprised that after a couple of years of marriage, I noticed that he kind of pick up the same attitude. When I go by them now, when I go home, I stay at their house. Um, you hear a broom sweeping downstairs in the yard. It is him who is doing his chore and putting things together. And they are both retired now and home, right? But I'm showing you that there's a possibility you could change. So even though we might say, okay, I come from this background or whatever, no, you can change. Change is possible.
And the idea is what we're seeking to communicate is that that change must not be forced. You see,
Right.
which which takes me back to the statement. You are not trying to change your spouse. You're not trying to beat them down or to push them or showing them their evil ways. But when you explain boundaries to your spouse and they get the sense that this is going to make the relationship better, this is going to make you more comfortable, make you happier. And as you open your eyes with the illustration you use there, when one individual sees, hey, it's better to have a certain degree of structure, we're able to function better, we cooperate in a more loving manner, then this is for our benefit. And people will comply. If I have a very complicated way of doing something that takes time, that is agonizing, the process itself, and somebody comes along and shows me in very simple steps how I can accomplish the same thing without frustration, without being overly strained or stressed, then of course I'm going to accept the easier way of doing it. That's a wiser thing to do. And that's the
Yeah.
idea behind boundaries. You are communicating to your spouse that, listen, this is going to be better for us. So we are emphasizing again that setting boundaries will enhance or repair the loving feelings that you have for each other. And you want to be able to convey this to your spouse. We're talking about loving your spouse. You want to be able to convey to your spouse that you love him or you love her. And the reason you are insisting on him or her maintaining the boundaries is because you want to be in a position where you can be closer to your spouse as
Yes.
opposed to being pushed away from your spouse.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and certainly because we have to grow in love, in intimacy, and if we're not growing together, then we are going apart, right? We are actually going apart. So um, love, love, beareth, love is kind. Love is courteous. Love has patience. All of those things, and it is something that has to be expressed in a tangible way, right? So when I seek to understand and make the adjustment and do what it takes, I am communicating in a tangible way that I love you, right? Because I'm concerned about your highest good. And that is when love is operating at this maturest level. It is always concerned about the highest good of the other. You see, what is it it can do? What is it, not what it can get? What is it I can do? What adjustment I need to make? What is it I can do to make you the best? And then vice versa. When everybody is operating from that polarity, what is it I can do to make my spouse, my wife the best? What is it I can do to make my husband the best, right? And when I demonstrate love in that way, then we are seeing that love is really a verb. It's the tangible expression of love you are seeing, and that is what we want.
That's correct. Now, we want to take into consideration the fact that when a person is boundary resistant, they can get defensive.
Hmm.
If you're in the situation, you know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Or your spouse points out something to you, and the first thing you do is to make an excuse. You come up
Mhm.
with something to say, this is the reason why so and so. Or what about you? You do so and so, I do so and so. So this is reason why you want to be deliberate in communicating love. So your spouse may feel that you're attacking him or you're attacking her. Um, they because they're boundary resistant, it is quick and easy for them to think, oh, why are you making me the bad guy here? Why are you always pointing out this? Why are you always doing that? What they're doing is that they're defensive, they're resisting. So you want to, rather than just saying, I'm sick and tired of you doing this, that comes across as condemnatory. It comes across as putting down your spouse, as belittling your spouse,
Yes.
and you don't want to do
Mm.
that. So we're saying you ought to be able to take some responsibility for helping your spouse to see that, hey, listen, I really need you to be in partnership with me as we seek to walk this road together. So, honey, I've been thinking it would be a good idea for us to just be able to sometimes relax and be in each other's arms. But when the house is dirty, I feel so uncomfortable. I feel out of my skin. I can't relate that way. So won't you help me with tidying the place so that we can have time free from stress and worry just to give ourselves to each other? That is taking away the whole idea of condemnation. That is taking away the idea of blame and saying you always do so and so. And it is like it's like using iMessages. You are owning the situation, but you're also conveying that here's my rationale. I want to be close to you. I want you to help me to be close to you.
Mm. Yes, and if the spouse understands that the communication is clear and don't feel that he or she is being condemned or put down, then they are going to make the effort. At least so I think, and I would further go to say that when, regardless of how incremental that effort is, we should applaud it, as we say, big up the spouse if they do something regardless of how incremental it is, right? Because sometimes we don't get some things through overnight, and that's why love has to be patient as well. You see, um, but once the person takes the initiative or begin to take the steps, begin to make the move to get this thing resolved, so that it can be a beautiful thing for both of us. Then we should celebrate that. We should celebrate that. I say reward that, celebrate it, because that's how the human mind is, right? Um, when we are celebrated, when we are encouraged in this way, then we are more predisposed to repeating the action or repeating the behavior, right?
Certainly. Now, it's amazing how time goes when we're on Marriage Encounter. I look up and realize we only have about 9 more minutes, Pastor. So I want us to look at a few more examples of this whole matter of communicating love to your spouse. So let's talk to the issue where one party is guilty of overspending. They seem not to be able to operate within budgets. How do we address a
Mhm.
matter like that? Showing love as opposed to condemning.
Oh, that's a real one.
It is.
Because it is an area where a lot of conflicts are now ensuing as we talk this morning. 85% of the couples have issues in this area. That is modern statistics. Um, you know, Financial infidelity, um, or lack of accountability, lack of openness, lack of transparency. You know, Several issues can be there, but we want to say that we should we should step back and be very objective, because we said some time back that we come with strengths and weaknesses, right? If both persons come with strength where they are able to manage their money smart, then things are going to go fine. But what if the situation that arises where the one person is not that money smart and might make some, ill-informed decision, or may not make some smart decisions, then that is reason for a conversation. That is reason for the strengths of the one to compensate for the weakness of the other. So could we have a conversation about how you do so and so and so? Or could you let me manage and show you over this month here or over these next 2 months how to do X, Y, Z, right? So you are learning from me who has this strength. And that is not a put down, that is growth because you are showing me and I'm learning from you how to manage, how to do this thing. And so that in time, I will have the similar strength. So both of us have the strength in this area, right? So again, we come together and we have a conversation. We have set our financial goals, and we are falling short by X, Y, Z, and I guess we are not following the plan. This and this and this are the reasons. Um, I want to offer a suggestion. Could I be able to take the lead or to manage for this month, and let me show you how I have been guided to do this thing so that we can improve our situation. So again, it is how we approach the matter, right? So it's not a put down or condemn. You're dumb. You don't know anything about spending money. No. You are saying what the plan is, because I hope that you have a financial plan and you have a goal. And I normally tell couples that you have a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, a long-term goal. Yeah, and you might measure yourself. You want to measure where you are at the end of this year. We are this strong financially, and so if there's something that is preventing you from reaching that goal, either your shortcoming in this area, how you manage resources, then we have to have a conversation in this area, right?
And
But it is
sometimes,
how because sometimes even Christian marriages, some person will come with an attitude because they think, particularly if their paycheck is stronger than the other, those matters come to the fore as well, you see. So, but I think we said that some time ago on this program. I'm not so sure that that's a non-issue. It is our business, it is our responsibility to manage our resources and to get to the goals that we have set
yeah,
as a couple.
certainly. If you are married, you ought to be together in all things. And I
Yes.
want to add to the discussion here that when you're able to address the issue It may be. In this case, we're talking about finances, and as you identify, that is one of the big areas. That is an area that creates a lot of challenges for lots of married couples. We discover that individuals have different approaches to dealing with finances in their marriage. Some persons feel that, we ought to separate our monies, and some people feel that I take care of one element in the home and you take care of another element in the home. What we are recommending is that you are married, and a marriage is a coming together. The two shall be one. So in every respect, you can't just be married in the flesh, but not married emotionally or not married financially, which is when we discuss intimacy, we talk about intimacy across various landscapes. So
Yes.
this may be an opportunity for you to discuss your attitudes towards money. Because for some persons, money is a tool to help them live. For other persons, it is just pure security, and they want to ensure that they have a nice, good savings. Other persons may have different approaches to money. So it's a good idea for you to sit down. But here's the point. If overspending is creating a challenge in the marriage and it is impacting you and making you unable to be close to your spouse, then you ought to be able to say again, sweetheart, honey, darling, whatever term you use with each other. You may want to be creative and illustrate something, but at the end of the day, you're really saying, once upon a time, we used to be very, very close together. You remember when we started this journey together, how we did all these things together, and we were working on goals and we were establishing and we were saving for so and so. Lately, I discovered that I am not close to you anymore. And as I review and I prayed about it, I realized that the lack of accountability, the carelessness with which we spend money. You could even say we instead of you, to make it
Yes.
a little
Yes.
more
Yes.
all-inclusive.
Yes.
That's disturbing to me, and it's impacting my ability to really open up to you. So let's approach this together. Let's work on this. Let's see if we can sit down and do some good budgeting, some good financial forecasting. Maybe we need to get a financial counselor to help us through this situation. So because I miss the closeness, I miss the togetherness. That's what we're talking about. But Pastor, guess what? We're going to have to continue this discussion next week
Yes.
because our
Let's
time
start
has
over.
just about expired. So that's the idea. You don't want to be condemnatory. You want to love your spouse. And if you can present boundary from the perspective of this is going to help me to be closer to you, to love you more, to love you better, then we suggest you're on the right road. Well, unfortunately, we have to stop here for today. If you do have questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to write us. Send us a note. We implore you, send us a note. marriageencounter@slcadventist.org. That is marriageencounter@slcadventist.org. All one word, marriage, MARRIAGE, encounter@slcadventist.org. That's all the time we have for today. So until next week, same time, may God's richest blessings be yours.